let's talk about where fashion failed and succeeded tonight. It's kind of a tough decision, but let's start with the winner. Johnny?
I think today, probably Dominique had the upper hand. She had, in her own way, her own signature in her design, and Eduardo did something we'd seen a million times.
I agree. It comes down to the execution of Eduardo versus the sort of class and elegance and precision of Dominique.
I wouldn't consider Eduardo this week just because I didn't like that dress. I mean, yes, the execution is wonderful and he does dresses very, very well, but I just thought it looked cheap. So my vote this week is for Dominique.
Well, I'm definitely Dominique because I think she stole the show. Tough one. Who's the loser?
I am kind of struggling between Cindy, because everything was wrong, and Calvin for sort of the mess, and Caesar. But with Caesar, he was fighting an uphill battle with his client. If I had to pick one, I'm gonna say Cindy.
For me, it comes down to Cindy versus Calvin. With Caesar, I didn't love the overall look, but I think just in the tailoring of the jacket and the fact that he had the client he had, I would give him the benefit of the doubt. With Calvin, I felt you listen to your client. You don't cut them off right at the start. I thought it was very disrespectful of him as a designer and as a professional to act that way with his client. Cindy, for me, did everything atrociously. And yes, she manned up and said, I don't do menswear. But you do it the best you can, and I think it wasn't a good effort. But if I had to choose one, it would be Calvin to go home.
Wow, that's heavy.
You could see they didn't really get along very well with
Nobody
Calvin.
gets along with Calvin.
And he goes, well, I'm not a dressmaker. If you want to make something from that, you should just go to Koreatown. I would have just slapped him.
And that is insulting, by the way.
If this gentleman just should have slapped him and said, goodbye, I'm going to go see somebody else about this. Well, I will say about Cindy that when she stands there and talks about her clothes, you get this sense that fashion is a very, very important thing in her life, you know, and that clothes are everything to her.
You could sense the sadness and kind of a maybe disappointment in herself. And, you know, she's very talented. We've seen really great stuff from her.
Cindy got everything wrong this time. I mean, I have issues about making people look big because I was big, and I'm really sensitive to my middle section, and that was a crime against nature, what she did to Eric. You can't send someone walking down the runway. It's cruel.
It's actually mean.
You know, this week, I would say goodbye to Cindy.
Unfortunately for me, I have to agree with you, Isaac. It is Cindy. She failed miserably this time. And I think this was her last stitch. I think we know what we need to do. Let's call the designers back in.